You do not have a content problem. You have a conversion problem, and posting more may actually be making it worse. What if your content is getting views but not sales? Your audience may not be the problem. The problem may be the business system behind the content. And by the end of this episode, you're going to understand the 4 places attention commonly gets lost before it ever becomes revenue, and why adding more content can make every one of those problems worse. Welcome back into Soul Plus Systems. This is the closing episode of Season 6, and we are closing it with a direct conversation about content marketing, business growth, and what it really takes to turn views into sales. Because there is a difference between being a content creator and building a content business. A content creator produces attention. A content business knows what to do with that attention. The difference is where a lot of entrepreneurs are getting stuck. They are posting, they're creating videos, they're showing up consistently, and some of them are getting thousands of views. But the business is not moving with the content. The audience grows, the workload grows, the expectations grow too. But the revenue does not grow at the same rate. Then they assume that they need more reach, more followers, more platforms, more content. But more attention flowing into a disconnected business does not fix the business. It exposes the disconnect faster. So today, I'm not giving you a complete implementation playbook. I'm teaching you how to recognize the problem, because you cannot make the right move until you understand what is actually broken. Let's start with the first truth. Attention is valuable, but attention is not the same as conversion. I have built a platform with hundreds of thousands of views. I understand the power of reach. I also understand its limits. Means somebody stopped. It does not mean they understood your business. I mean something connected. It does not mean they understood your offer. A subscriber means they want to see more. It does not automatically mean they are ready to buy. Those numbers matter. But they are indicators of attention, not proof of a functioning sales system. Posting is not automatically marketing. Marketing is not automatically selling. And selling is not automatically delivering. Those are different parts of the business. Posting creates content. Marketing creates understanding. Selling creates a decision. A delivery creates the result in the trust that allow the business to grow. When those pieces are connected, content becomes an asset. And when they are disconnected, content becomes an activity. That is why some entrepreneurs can create a large amount of content and still struggle to generate consistent sales. The content may be working perfectly. It may be attracting attention exactly as it was designed to do. But the content is leading people into a business that does not give that attention a clear direction. The problem is not always the post. Sometimes the problem begins after the post has already done its job. There are four broad places where attention can lose momentum. I am going to break them down at a strategic level. The first is connection between the content and the business. And the second is the audience's understanding of the offer. And the third is the decision you're asking the audience to make. And the fourth is the system that carries that momentum forward. And let's break it down. The content may be entertaining. It may be educational. It may be inspiring. It may even be getting strong views. But if the content has no clear relationship to the business, the audience learns to consume the content without ever considering the author. They know your topic. They may know you personally. They may enjoy your perspective, but they do not necessarily know how you help people. And this happens when the creator becomes so focused on feeding the platform that the content stops serving the business. The algorithm gets what it wants. The business gets whatever attention happens to spill over. That is not a content business. That is a content production schedule. And there really is a big difference. The second breakdown. This one is common with knowledgeable entrepreneurs. They teach well. They give useful information. They demonstrate expertise. But the audience cannot clearly explain what they sell. People say, I love your content. That was helpful. You always make me think. Those are good reactions. But if nobody understands how to move from enjoying your knowledge to working with your business, the authority has nowhere to go. This is where entrepreneurs sometimes teach so much that the offer disappears. The audience sees the information. They do not see the transformation. They understand what you know. They do not understand what you can do for them. This is not a lack of value. It is a positioning gap. The third breakdown. Some businesses give the audience too many options. Watch this, download that, join this, book that, find this product, apply for that service, follow on 5 different platforms. And the entrepreneur sees options, and the customer sees decisions. And every additional decision creates friction. Confused people do not usually take the time to decode a business. They leave. This does not mean every business can only have one offer. It means every piece of content needs a job. If the audience reaches the end of the video and has no idea what matters next, the content may create attention without creating movement. Hope is not a sales system. You cannot simply hope the audience investigates your business, searches through your links, compares the options, understands the offers, and chooses the right one. That is asking the customer to finish building your sales path. That is your job. And the fourth breakdown. This is where the content works and the message works. Then the person becomes interested. They click, and then the momentum disappears. The page feels disconnected from the content, and the offer is difficult to understand. The next step is not clear. The follow-up does not continue the conversation, or nothing happens quickly enough to maintain the interest that the content created. That is why views alone do not tell you whether your content marketing is working. The content may have produced the attention. The system may have failed to carry forward. You can keep posting more, and you can keep sending people into that same experience, but value does not pair the pen. It only increases the number of people moving through it. Now, let's call out one of the biggest entrepreneurship myths online. I just need a larger audience. Maybe you do. But a larger audience will not automatically fix an unclear business. More attention magnifies whatever is already there. If the message is clear, reach creates opportunity. If the message is unclear, reach creates more confusion. And if the customer path works, traffic creates movement. If the customer path is broken, traffic creates a larger leak. Some entrepreneurs do not need 10,000 more followers. They need the people already watching to understand what the business does. That is a different problem. It requires a different solution. This is why follower count cannot be the only scoreboard. The real question is not just how many people saw the content. The actual real question is, did the right people understand what should happen next? That is a business question. Consistency matters. I believe in consistency. But consistency does not rescue confusion. If the content and the offer are disconnected, posting consistently reinforces the disconnect. If the posting is unclear, repeating it more frequently does not automatically make it clear. If the customer path has no direction, for traffic does not give it. Consistency makes a working strategy stronger. It can also make a weak strategy more expensive. This is the part that people do not talk about enough. Entrepreneurs are constantly told to keep posting, keep showing up, and keep creating. And yeah, persistence matters, but persistence without evolution can turn into repetition without progress. At some point, you have to stop asking whether you are working hard enough and start asking whether the work is connected. Those are not the same question. Entrepreneurs can always find productive looking ways to avoid the most important move. We research, we redesign, we reorganize, we adjust the graphics. We study another platform, we create another version of the offer, we build another content calendar, we prepare to prepare. Some of that work is necessary, but preparation can become procrastination wearing a business suit. Eventually, the biz needs something measurable, a clear offer, a direct invitation, a customer decision, and a sale. Revenue is not the only thing that matters. Your mission matters. The quality of your work, it really matters. The way that you treat people also really matters. And the result that you create matters. But if the business does not generate revenue, eventually you'll lose the time, you'll lose energy, you'll lose the resources required to keep serving anyone. That does not make revenue the entire mission. It makes revenue part of the responsibility. You are not building an endless unpaid project. You are building a business. At some point, you have to make the money move. This is where the shift happens. Stop treating content like the complete business. Content is the entrance. It is not the entire building. The platform can deliver attention. It cannot create your positioning. It cannot clarify your offer. It cannot build your customer experience. And it cannot follow up for you unless you have created the system behind it. And it cannot decide what your business should be known for. That work still belongs to us, the humans, our brains. This does not mean you need a complicated funnel with 50 moving parts. Complication is not the same as strategy. A simple path can work extremely well, but simple and incomplete are not the same thing. And the audience still needs to understand where they are, why the offer matters, and what decision makes sense next. This is the business behind the content, and that is where attention begins turning into action. I'm not going to give you 5 templates and a complete repair manual in this episode. That would give y'all more information without showing y'all which part actually applies to your business. Instead, I want you to look at one offer, not every offer, not every page, and not every idea you may launch later. One offer. Then trace the experience from the first point of attention to the final customer decision. Do not immediately change everything. Observe it first. Look at it as if you've never seen the business before. The important question is not whether these exist. A link exists and still be difficult to find. An offer can exist and still be unclear. A page can exist and still fail to communicate value. A follow-up system can exist and still lose momentum. Having the pieces does not guarantee that the pieces work together. Find the general stage where movement appears to stop. Does the content attract attention without connecting to the business? Does the audience understand the topic but not the offer? Is the decision unclear? Or does the system lose momentum after interest has already been created? That is enough for today. Do not diagnose the entire company from one video. Do not rebuild the business because one post underperformed. But do stop assuming the only answer is more content. Sometimes you do need more traffic, and you might even need a stronger path. Now, let me call this out directly. Some of you do not have a content problem, you have a clarity problem. Some of you do not need more content ideas. You need your content to have a job. Some of you keep blaming the algorithm because it is easier than admitting the audience does not understand the offer. Some of you are creating valuable information, but you are not connecting that information to a business result. Some of you are waiting for a larger audience to solve the problem. The larger audience will only magnify it. And some of you do not need another course. You need to execute what you already know. This is not about posting less just to post less. It is about making sure the content supports the business you are trying to build. Because there is no prize for being the busiest entrepreneur in the room. There is no prize for having the most unfinished ideas. There is no prize for collecting views that never move beyond the platform. Attention is valuable, but attention without direction becomes noise. Your goal is not to perform entrepreneurship. Your goal is to build something that works. Season 6 has been about systems, identity, freedom, and rebuilding. Not rebuilding because everything failed. Rebuilding because we know more now. The business has more information. The entrepreneur has more experience. The standards are stronger. The direction is clearer. Rebuilding is not proof that you were wrong to begin with. It is proof that you are paying attention. Your dream may not be the problem. Your content may not be the problem. The path behind it might be. If you do not have to abandon everything you have built because one part is not working, you need to identify the right problem before spending more time solving the wrong one. That is how operators think. They do not panic every time a number changes. We do not look at the system. We follow the movement. They look at the system. They follow the movement. They find where momentum stops. Then they take the next decision from evidence instead of emotion. That is what this season has been about. Real conversations, real strategies, real results, not chaos. Control. If your content is getting views but not sales, then you cannot clearly see where the attention is being lost. The $99 Attention Conversion Audit is the next move. I will examine the path from your content to your offer, identify where momentum is breaking, and give you the top 3 priorities your business needs to address first and where you are bleeding money at. Not 20 more things for your list. The 3 that matter the most get you to stop that bleeding. The link to the $99 Attention Conversion Audit is in the description. Thank you for being here for Season 6. Thank you for listening. And thank you for being part of a show where listeners have become family. Spectators watch. Operators bill. We are not here to collect attention. We are here to build something that works. See you in the next one.